Hi, this is David with EV World News, where we talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. I'm trying a different streaming software today, so this may come out a little bit different than it normally appears. Like, be happy to if you would leave some comments, feedback. So let me know what you think of the new format and if I should keep using this. Anyways, today I want to talk about something kind of different. So we always hear negative news about EV fires, different things that EVs don't do this or that or whatever. But today we have a kind of a cool story coming from Australia, from Queensland. A child, they had a blackout due to storms, and this woman used her EV to power her son's dialysis machine during the power cut. This is quite interesting, and I like this on the license plate here. It says Lady Fancy Pants, which I thought was kind of funny. But an 11-year-old son's life-saving dialysis machine and the car has ridden to the rescue after devastating storms cut power in southeast Queensland. When the power went out after storms and flash flooding on Christmas Day, many residents immediately felt the consequences. Electric gates not working, air conditioners not running, fridges not working, septic tanks beginning to fill. And but a lot of your EVs are already designed where they can be bidirectional, so you can charge them, but you could use them as a power generator and use that big battery. And the batteries on a car are really large. I've talked about this before. You can power a house on a lot of EVs for several days. And so that's kind of interesting to see because it's just that much power that's in one of those cars. Anyways, this woman used her BYD AT3 to power her son's dialysis machine. At first, they'd use the car to plug in their fridge and those of their neighbors, but when the power did not come back on quickly, they wondered if they could use it to power the dialysis machine. We ran it off the car, only needed to use it for one night. We kind of run it for at least 4 nights and then have to go charge the car somewhere. Her son Levi is about to go on a transplant list this month, would have faced life-threatening health consequences had he not been able to receive treatment, and they would have needed to travel to Brisbane during the storm if they could not find an alternative. And she said she had known she could use my car for good things since she had made wine, slow cooked mulled wine for a movie night using the car's electric system. Most amazing car I've ever owned. Now it's been able to save my son during a storm. I don't think I'll ever be able to go back to a petrol car again. Another EV driver, Matt McLaughlin, uses vehicle to help people in need by posting on a community Facebook group offering emergency power. If anyone needs electricity briefly to open gates, pump out a biocycle, as long as it's got you know, a plug that'll work, he can help out. And this is kind of funny. The much maligned EV has L, which means you can run power to it. Give me a shout, but I will require you to publicly acknowledge that EVs aren't all bad. I like that. McLaughlin's member of the Rural Fire Service was unaffected by the power outage thanks to solar panels and a Tesla Powerwall home battery system. This allowed him to assist others, including a couple who had been locked in their home by an electric gate. Most gates have a key which you can manually unlock them, but theirs was really old. There was nowhere to put the key. They were trying to get out of their back gate into the national park. Other EV drivers with similar systems were helping where they could, as well as those with Tesla Powerwalls who rigged up power to help run their neighbors' fridges. I think everyone does just help out around here. In a semi-rural area, you've got to help out your neighbors. And I thought that was a pretty good story. Now, we've been completely off grid for 6 days. We've had air conditioner running and the pool pump running. I've been able to charge the car off the excess solar all day. People can be skeptical until they realize, hang on, this is going to be better. If the power goes out for half an hour in the middle of the night, we don't notice. We're oblivious to it. I wasn't aware the power had even come back on when I woke up this morning. And then that's interesting because these people, they obviously have a full grid power storage system because they are both storing solar to their power wall and to their car, and then they can use it, you know, as they see fit. I know one thing, Australia's had such good solar adoption, they've actually had too much solar to sell back to the grid in some towns to the point where there's excess electricity. Now, our next story is a little different. This one is about EVs that aren't that break down twice as fast as the average vehicle. Now, this is kind of interesting. This comes actually from Yahoo Finance, and a lot of times when you hear these terms about breaking down, a lot of your issues with electric vehicles are fixed by a software update. So sometimes it's a little bit deceptive. So it's not like it left somebody sitting because you get a lot of recalls on Teslas. There's a big recall right now in China in particular. It's affecting 1.5 million Teslas, and they're fixing it all by a software update that goes out over your internet. The car, you don't even know. You don't have to go do anything. You don't have to take the car to a mechanic. So it's a little bit of a deceptive term. If you need to have like right now, there's a big issue with airbags with a lot of manufacturers having to be replaced. This isn't, I mean, this could affect some EV makers as well, but it's more about the general car market. Those have to be taken in for service. That's not a software update. That's not the nature of most EV issues. Now, there are bigger issues with EVs, especially when it starts coming to the batteries, things like that. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So this particular story here is, like I said, is coming from Yahoo Finance, and it's talking about four EVs that break down more than normal. And they're showing a Model X. Electric vehicles are appealing because of their low impact on the environment, but how reliable are they? Now, gas-powered vehicles are said to last about 200,000 miles for about 12 years. Some EVs are said to last 300,000 miles, but this isn't the case with every model. The Model X. Now, the Model X is really nice. I'm a particular fan of this vehicle, but they are expensive, and I would guess they probably make up less than 5% of Tesla sales. The Model S and the Model X are the two original, or the S was the original Tesla after the Roadster, which they don't sell anymore. But then the X, but the 3 came and then the Y, and the 3 and the Y vastly outsell the other two to the point where I think the 3 and the Y make up something like 93 or 94% of all their sales. So the X is not sold that much. Um, Let's see. When you think of electric cars, Teslas are probably some of the first models that come to mind. They're instantly recognized in the street by their chic exterior. Once you get in, you're treated to futuristic technology that makes you think you're not far from flying cars. Model X isn't without its issues. One common concern is the battery draining quickly, which can be frustrating for owners who rely on their vehicles for daily use. The Model X has a 348-mile range, which is above average for electric vehicles. But if you're traveling long distances daily, this might not be ideal since the battery is only covered for 150,000 miles or 8 years under warranty. That's not where the issues with the Model X end. Now, that's a pretty long warranty, 150,000 miles, in my opinion. I mean, most people don't own a vehicle that long. Most people don't drive their car till they completely wear out. Some do. Additionally, some owners have experienced strange noises from the suspension system, causing unease and potentially indicating a need for maintenance or repairs. It's worth noting in 2022, Tesla decided to cut the Model X's price due to reliability concerns. I don't know if that's why they actually cut the price, but they did cut the price. And consumers might be visiting the mechanic more often, and Teslas are notoriously expensive to fix. Well, this is kind of interesting. Teslas do get a fair amount of road noise, and they've really worked at trying to fix this in some of the newer models. But older models definitely got a lot of road noise, different things you could hear in the car. Now, the Hyundai Kona Electric, much cheaper, $32,600 for 2024. It's an SUV, so you get a lot of space, but taking road trips, and it might not be the best as it only has a 261-mile range. Now, one of the things is if you have different apps for electric vehicles, they start telling you where you should charge. And so it's rare for somebody 261 miles. That would be roughly 3+ hours, 4 hours of driving, 3.5 hours of driving. I mean, most people need to take a break after 3 hours anyways. and or you should to get out of the car a little bit. So it's not unrealistic to be stopping to charge, but there's no question that taking a road trip takes longer in an electric vehicle when you have to stop and charge it. I see some cars like the Lucid Air that has the 520-mile range, but who's going to drive 500 miles before stopping? And so it's an interesting, you know, point to have that kind of range, but I mean, most people are going to stop sooner, far sooner anyways. Now, one primary concern someone has reported is battery and motor failure. While these incidents are relatively rare, they can be costly to repair or replace. Now, Hyundais tend to have very long warranties. This article doesn't address that. The battery in particular has caused Kona owners a lot of heartache due to catastrophic charging issues. Some owners have experienced difficulties with charging, including slow charging speeds or even complete failure to charge. It's kind of an interesting point, but doesn't get real specific there. Now, the Ford Mustang Mach E, and it says MSRP 45,000 for 2024, has an estimated range between 226 and 312-mile range. Battery problems cause buyers a lot of issues. Some owners have experienced issues with battery drain or sudden drops in range, which can be frustrating and inconvenient, she explained. These issues can impact the overall driving experience and raise questions and concerns about reliability. It's also had an issue with heat control. EVs rely on efficient cooling systems to maintain optimal performance and prevent overheating. However, there were reports of the Ford Mustang Mach E experiencing temperature regulation problems that could affect its longevity and performance. It's kind of interesting because it really doesn't get too specific or give none of these articles give any statistics. The Smart EQ ForTwo. Smart EQ ForTwo. Now, this was from 2019. It had an MSRP of $23,900. Easy to park. The range is small, 58 miles on average. This is something that would be more like just local mobility. This is kind of an interesting piece because the smart car is certainly not something you'd want to be traveling long distance on, obviously, if it only has a 58-mile range. But as far as something just to take and run an errand, like to run to the grocery store, it seems kind of like a perfect idea because it is, it's basically an egg on wheels rolling down the road. The frequent recharging of an EV battery can impact how quickly the battery degrades. Now, repeated fast charging and deep discharging can contribute to a faster decline in battery health over time. In the case of really small compact EVs like the Smart EQ ForTwo, which had a small battery and limited range, owners may find themselves charging the vehicle more frequently, potentially increasing the wear on the battery. This is interesting. This says potentially. Elmore warned that frequent charging can also decrease the range on the battery, so you'll end up charging the vehicle even more. As the battery degrades, the overall range on the vehicle can decrease, which exacerbates concerns related to running out of charge and potentially making more susceptible to breakdowns due to insufficient battery capacity. Well, that's all well and good. These articles don't necessarily put up a lot of statistics, but it is interesting to see how that is. Anyways, if you'd like to see different content, please leave us a comment. Please like and subscribe if you hadn't already. Every time you like on one of my videos, it allows my video to get shown to a few more people. So that really helps the channel out and to be doing everybody something good. Hey, and you know, I appreciate folks chiming in and leaving us comments as the show goes on. Anyways, everybody have a great day, and I'll be back on tomorrow.